Hey guys, today I wanted to talk a little bit about surrender and what surrender means. If any of you know my story, you know that I lived a big surrender experiment after reading the book Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And what I was shown in life is that life is not what I always thought it was. And a lot of times, my controlling things and my trying to force things to happen and make things happen was actually working against me. And when I learned about surrender, it was a foreign concept to me. And what it did for me, though, is it opened up a whole lot of energy to move into the creations and the things that I was doing. So I wanted to break down surrender a little bit so that we can take it on a practical and tactical basis. What does it really mean? What are we actually doing when we surrender, and what happens when we surrender? Why is that a benefit? First thing is, when we just talk about surrender, what is surrender? And the definition of surrender is to cease resistance. And so if we go further into what is resistance, resistance is the impeding, slowing, or stopping of something. So the way I see this for me in my life is that there is this life force energy that's moving through me, that's moving through what I'm doing at all times. And this life force energy is intelligent, it is powerful, it is always around me, and it is constantly wanting to bring potential to life. So when I have an idea or a vision of something that I want to bring to life, the life force energy is supporting that. What gets in the way is my resistance to that life force energy. So when I surrender, I'm actually releasing the resistance and allowing that life force energy to flow full force. Now, what causes the resistance is belief systems that we hold or perspectives that we hold in our mind. It could be something like, I'm not an expert, I can't do that. I don't know what I'm talking about. They won't believe me. What will they think of me? If I go out and do this new thing that nobody's ever done before, what are people going to think of me? Am I going to be ostracized? If I verbalize this idea I have, what are people going to think? Those are some of the thought processes that resist, that stop, that impede the flow of the life force energy and the power that it can have. So it's those thoughts that are limiting us, that are holding back the life force energy. So when I talk about surrender, what I mean is to stop slowing down the life force energy with these thoughts that hold us back. And what that looks like on a regular basis, on a practical basis for me, is sometimes when I get caught up in this thought process of, oh gosh, what are they going to think if I do that? Or I don't really know what I'm doing. I can't really do that. When I get caught up in that thought process, I stop and I take a step back and I say, okay, I'm willing to see this differently. I'm willing to see this in a way where I'm not causing resistance in what wants to come through. And so just by the act of saying, I'm willing to see this differently, it does something in our minds, and it causes our minds to stop in the current process. And then it opens our mind to a new way of seeing things. And then I ask, show me. I ask the universe, I ask the life force energy, I ask God, show me a different way to see this so that I am not impeding the flow of what wants to come through. And in the act of doing that, then what I do is I stop thinking about it and I stop moving towards it. I take a break from it. I go and distract myself with something else. Inevitably, a new way of seeing things comes through, and I'm able to move with more surrender. I'm able to stop impeding the life force energy. So if you're feeling like you've got a tight grip and you're forcing something to happen, or you're trying to make something to happen and it's not happening the way that it should, or it's not happening with power, or it's not happening with ease, or it's causing you stress, try surrendering it. Do an experiment of your own. Just say, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to surrender this project, this thing that I'm working on. I'm going to surrender it. I'm willing to see it differently. I'm willing to let the life force energy in to do its job. And I'm willing to step back and see it differently. Take a break, distract yourself, come back to it tomorrow after a good night's sleep. See if you can see it differently. See if things don't shift on their own. Sometimes just the act of surrendering and stepping back will free up the resistance so that something else can happen, so that clears a path for what you have going. So we don't always know exactly what needs to happen for in order for a vision that we have to come to life, or in order to do the thing that we have this desire to do. And so sometimes just the act of surrendering, just the act of taking a step back, being willing to see it differently, coming at it from a different perspective or a different angle, will allow it to flow with a lot more ease and a lot more power. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and we will see you next time.